Good day, this is Strategic Watch. U.S. President Donald Trump has put forward one of the most ambitious and controversial defense spending proposals in modern American history. According to his plan, the United States military budget for 2027 could rise to nearly $1.5 trillion. This represents an increase of roughly 50% compared to the current defense budget, which stands at just over $900 billion. If implemented, this would mark the largest expansion of U.S. military spending in decades, rivaling the scale of buildup seen during the early Cold War. Trump has justified this proposal by pointing to what he describes as a rapidly deteriorating global security environment. In his view, the world has entered a period of heightened danger, uncertainty, and strategic competition. Traditional military threats now coexist with emerging risks in areas such as cyber warfare, space, artificial intelligence, and advanced missile technology. Trump argues that the United States must be prepared not for a single conflict, but for multiple simultaneous challenges across different regions of the world. In public statements, Trump framed the proposal as a necessary step to build what he called a dream military. He emphasized deterrence, strength, and readiness, arguing that overwhelming military capability is the best way to prevent war rather than invite it. According to Trump, a larger defense budget would allow the United States to modernize its forces, expand production capacity, and maintain its technological edge over strategic rivals. A key part of Trump's argument centers on funding. He has suggested that increased revenue from tariffs could help finance the expansion of military spending. However, many economists and budget analysts have raised serious doubts about this claim. Even during periods of heightened trade tariffs, total revenue from import duties has historically represented only a small fraction of federal spending. Covering the gap between current defense levels and a $1.5 trillion budget would likely require significant borrowing, spending cuts elsewhere, or new sources of revenue. The scale of this proposal becomes even clearer when placed in a global context. A U.S. defense budget of $1.5 trillion would exceed the combined military spending of several major powers. It would far outpace the defense budgets of China, Russia, and most NATO allies combined. While the United States already spends more on defense than any other country, this increase would further widen that gap. Supporters of the plan argue that the nature of modern conflict demands this level of investment. They point to the rising cost of advanced weapons systems, the expansion of space-based defense initiatives, and the need to counter emerging technologies such as hypersonic missiles. Large-scale procurement programs, shipbuilding efforts, missile defense systems, and next-generation aircraft all require enormous financial commitments spread over many years. Critics, however, question whether more spending necessarily translates into greater security. They argue that the U.S. military already faces challenges related to efficiency, procurement delays, and cost overruns. Simply allocating more money does not guarantee better strategic outcomes, especially if funds are directed toward outdated systems rather than future-oriented capabilities. There is also concern that rapid budget expansion could overwhelm existing oversight mechanisms, leading to waste and misallocation. Domestically, Trump's proposal is likely to face strong political resistance. Many Democrats argue that such a dramatic increase in defense spending would come at the expense of domestic priorities such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure. They also question whether military force should remain the primary tool of American global leadership in an era that increasingly demands diplomacy, cooperation, and economic engagement. At the same time, some fiscal conservatives within Trump's own political camp have expressed concern about the long-term budgetary consequences. The United States already carries a significant national debt, and sustained increases in defense spending could add trillions of dollars to future deficits. From this perspective, the proposal raises fundamental questions about fiscal responsibility and long-term economic stability. Beyond U.S. domestic politics, the global implications of such a move would be substantial. For China, a massive expansion of U.S. military spending would likely be interpreted as confirmation that Washington views Beijing as a long-term strategic competitor. China has already been investing heavily in naval expansion, missile forces, and advanced technologies, and a U.S. budget surge could further intensify strategic rivalry. Russia, meanwhile, would likely see the proposal as a signal of continued U.S. commitment to military dominance, particularly in regions such as Eastern Europe and the Arctic. Combined with NATO's broader efforts to increase defense spending among its member states, Trump's plan could reinforce perceptions in Moscow that the global security environment is becoming more confrontational. For America's allies, the message is more complex. On one hand, a stronger U.S. military could reinforce alliance commitments and deterrence guarantees. On the other hand, it could increase pressure on allied nations to raise their own defense spending, potentially straining domestic political consensus in countries already facing economic challenges. There are also broader risks to consider. A dramatic increase in U.S. military spending could contribute to a renewed global arms race, encouraging rivals to respond with their own expansions. While deterrence remains a core principle of international security, history shows that arms races can also increase instability and miscalculation if not carefully managed. Ultimately, Trump's proposal is about more than numbers on a balance sheet. It reflects a particular worldview, one that places military strength at the center of national power and global influence. Whether Congress ultimately approves such a budget and whether the United States can sustainably finance it remains uncertain. What is clear is that this proposal signals a potential shift in how America defines security, leadership, and its role in an increasingly competitive world. As this debate unfolds, the consequences will extend far beyond Washington. The decisions made over the next few years will shape global power balances, alliance structures, and the future of international security. Strategic Watch will continue to follow and analyze these developments closely.